Proclamation of the Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Now, as Jesus and his disciples went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But Jesus answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Some time ago, I went to a parish, and an individual came up to me and he said to me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, that's a nice greeting." If you really delve into the sacred scriptures, especially the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, what you will find is one of the characteristics is the hospitality that is shown. God showed that hospitality to Adam and Eve, gave them that beautiful garden, and we know the rest of the story. And today, in that first reading, we have three individuals coming to Abraham, strangers, and he welcomes them. In fact, one of the strangers says, "By the time that we return, your wife, Sarah, is going to be pregnant." And Sarah happened to overhear this. We didn't have this in the first reading. And guess what she did when she heard that? She laughed. "Who, me? At my age? Being pregnant?" See, she did not believe that with God, all things are possible. And this is a message that Jesus was trying to get across too. All things are possible with God. So maybe we have to ask ourselves, do we really believe that? Jesus, as we know, when he went to Nazareth, was not welcome there. In fact, he went so far as to say that a prophet is not welcome in his own country, his own home, town. And we know the story about Simon. Simon was the individual who invited Jesus into his home, but he did not show him the ordinary things that a guest should be shown. So Jesus had to, of course, point that out to him. Say to him, "Simon, I have a few things to say to you. You didn't do this, and you didn't do that." And then he was traveling through Samaria, and of course was on his way to Jerusalem. And when the people found out that he was on his way to Jerusalem, of course, they had nothing to do with him because, as you know, the Samaritans and the Jews have nothing to do with each other. That's why, as we heard last Sunday, the Good Samaritan. The emphasis is on the Good Samaritan, the fact that he's the individual that reached out. And here the story we have, of course, in the gospel today, where Martha and Mary invited Jesus into their home. And they did that many, many times. Many times. That kind of hospitality. St. Paul says, we are ambassadors of Christ. And what's an ambassador? An ambassador is one who represents a country, right? Sure. So we have ambassadors, in a sense, here greeting you when you come here. Greeters at the door. They are ambassadors. They are the ones that welcome you. That's why this particular area of welcoming, I think, is so important, very important. Read on in Paul. In the book of Romans, he says, yes, we are to greet the holy ones of God. We all are holy in that sense. We are to be greeted. We are to be welcomed. And in the Acts of the Apostles, we have that beautiful story about Paul and Lydia. Lydia is the individual who comes in contact with Paul, and she's so enamored with him that she is baptized. And then, of course, what she does to show that welcoming, she invites him into his home. And Paul says, no, 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 no. So he kind of twists her, she kind of twists his arm and invites him. And he finally says, oh, okay. Thus you find so many beautiful examples of that hospitality that are shown. Why is that so important? I believe it's so important because there are statistics that bring out to us that when individuals, say, go to a parish for the first time, that impact is so important. And experts point out to us that 70% of those people who go to a different parish for the first time, they don't go back to that parish. Why not? Because they don't feel welcome. That's often the reason why some individuals leave the church, because they don't feel welcomed. So maybe what we have to be able to do, as the expression goes, look under our hood and ask ourselves in all sincerity, are we a welcoming parish? Are we a welcoming community? Are we a welcoming person? Very important. And I believe you do well here in welcoming others. But there's always room for improvement, isn't there? Yes. The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. See, that's why we have to look under the hood sometimes, as I have to do myself and say, yeah, but do I really make an effort, say, to reach out to someone? So, for example, you come here every weekend and you see the same people over and over again. How many of us go up to someone that maybe we haven't met yet and said, I'm so-and-so, who are you? Imagine what would happen right here in this parish. Even though it's a very small community, I think that's an opportunity to do it. Or sometimes we have socials over in the hall. Why is that? And we always have the same people there, and yet we're given that opportunity to go there and maybe meet someone. That's the challenge. That's the challenge for us, to do that. Reach out in that way. Reach out to someone in that way. And as someone has said, if you're going to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, one of the characteristics is hospitality, being able to reach out to individuals. So the question then is of you, do you want to be a disciple? Yes. Then practice hospitality.